are externally independent and freestanding, I think it still kind of dispenses with theological problems that are accompanied by calling a drug something that generates, divinity within, if you don't believe in divinity.
It means God within, generating God within, and inside theos, God, and generate, so that which generates God inside a person. So, and it's a class of drugs, formerly called psychedelic, but it's a way of sort of softening the bad press of the word psychedelic. And especially it's to separate it from sort of the party aspect of taking a drug and going crazy, and showing that these drugs have a spiritual side to them, if you can find it.
A term that I prefer is shamanic plant or shamanic medicine, because it's a plant, a psychoactive plant, usually a psychedelic or a hallucinogen, that is used in one of these shamanic traditions, right? So it's appropriate to call it a shamanic medicine. Although the very same plant and the very same substance could be not shamanic if you're not using it in a shamanic context. If you're using it recreationally or taking it in a rave or some other situation, it's not really a shamanic medicine anymore. It's still the same substance, but if you're talking about substances that are used specifically sort of in this shamanic context, then I like shamanic medicine. I have problems with the term entheogen, although I know that it's gotten, more popular. After Carl Ruck, who was a classicist, and Jonathan Ott and some other people proposed it as an alternative to hallucinogen. Entheogen means manifesting the God within, in theos, within and God. And that's fine, except they don't always do that.
I don't like the word because I'm a Buddhist and I don't believe in gods, So, it's to me it's something which helps you to reach your full potential. You don't need to introduce the idea of God.
I like the term because I have turned very mystical, since taking LSD. And so my outlook is more skewed in that direction. I think that what Groff said was that it was a non-specific amplifier of your mental states, the psychedelic or hallucinogen or fantastica, the psychotomimetic, all of these qualities that have been ascribed to the same class of sacraments that we now refer to as entheogens. I think it's closer for me to the ultimate purpose for which these substances can be used. The capacity for the human being to experience infinite love and total self-forgiveness. A sense of deep interconnectedness with the planet and with all people and with the cosmos, this plasticity of our identity and helping us to see into realms that perhaps are both ancient because they're the archetypal divine imagination, and they're ever fresh, because it is transcendental presence that is the creator, the artist, the cosmic artist,
Entheogen. It means connecting with God. I've been searching for God all my life. I was a practicing Catholic for many, many years, and you would think that psychedelics, being mind manifesting, would show you the God you've been worshiping. The closest I ever got to God was that, hey Nick, you're God. You're an aspect of divinity that's looking out at this, a little spy for God, and so enjoy it. I said, well, that's a twist. I've been looking for a God outside me, and here I learned that I'm one of God's apostles in a way. What a surprise! So that's what I learned from psychedelics. That at least that's a hypothesis. So pay attention. Was the message. Pay attention, Nick. You're collecting data for God. Look with God's eyes upon the world.
So the term hallucinogen is inaccurate. The term psychotomimetic is inaccurate. The term entheogen is, it all depends on circumstances. My personal preference is I like psychedelic, because even though the term carries all this cultural baggage, and everything's psychedelic, that's kind of something left over from the 60s. But in the strict sense, psychedelic means mind manifesting. And I like the term because it leaves it open. I mean, these substances certainly manifest the mind in some aspect, and we don't have any argument with that. But how they manifest it, it depends on the set and setting. And like these other terms, sort of are more specifically related to set and setting. And they also show how difficult it is to really linguistically kind of put this in a box, characterize what they do. Sometimes they're mystical, sometimes they're induce psychosis, sometimes they don't do much of anything at all, but they always manifest the mind in some way. So I like psychedelic. If it could just be divorced from all the connotations that it's come to have in our culture.
I think it's almost inevitable that psychedelics have been playing a part in religious, mystical experiences since the beginning of time. They are a powerful way for human beings to blow their little egos out of the water and contact the divine.
I mean, one thing, the whole of spirituality has its roots, ancient roots, in the shamanic traditions. We still have those traditions, and a huge number of them are based on whatever the indigenous psychedelic happens to be in that area. Because what could be more natural than you pick up a mushroom or something like that, you ingest